Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. Today guys, we're going to be diving into the world of Polygon and specifically talking about the price action of the 𝗕𝗃 token. Guys, as we dive into this technical analysis, if you find it useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. Right, with all that nonsense out of the way, let's dive down right into this technical analysis and talk about what's been going on most recently here with 𝗕𝗃. We're going to start things off with the weekly chart, guys, or actually daily chart, I should say, and talk about what's been going on most recently and in terms of the bull run so far, and obviously talk about what's going on over here. So on this daily chart, we can see that there's been a nice steady rise to the upside. Now, it was a slow start, basically from the crash of March 2020. We got some progress, but we kind of traded sideways around here for quite some time before we really went up nice and strong with our third wave to the upside, really peaking out up here, I think on the 18th of May, just at the top at about $2.70 before we slipped down with the crash of Bitcoin, putting us into some interesting low areas. From here, we actually moved up and then we've consolidated a little bit as well. Bitcoin has been quite volatile, so we obviously have seen a few pullbacks. Again, this is not unnatural for the space. If we do zoom out to the weekly, and we can, of course, actually take a look at some of those moves that we have seen, right, and why they are not uncommon. We can see, for example, the latest correction in the last 3 weeks that we've had. And this actual correction comes in at approximately 43%. Okay, so approximately 43% has been lost in 3 weeks on 𝗕𝗃. But it's not unusual because we can, of course, see in this third impulse wave to the upside, there was also a loss in one particular week just here of 46%. Okay, so we can see that it's not unnatural to see these kind of pullbacks. They're very natural. 9 times out of 10, you do get the occasional thing that's unnatural. But overall, everything is on track, right? We got the weekly chart. We can obviously see there are several sentiments over here where we're trading sideways, really pushing up, and obviously getting these corrections coming in actually allows us to continue that growth to the upside. So a correction that we've seen in the last 3 weeks obviously seems like it was quite painful, but for the most part, it was an opportunity to buy up some more tokens ahead of where we are heading. So when we come back down into our daily view, we were able to actually take a look at what's been going on, right? So obviously during that first kind of wave, right, or that first half of the bull run, we can see that things started back in March of 2020 and where we peaked up here in May of 2021. So a total of 434 days. We've seen 42,655% in gains. This is significant return on investment, right? Because when we start taking a look at Bitcoin during the same period, we can see that we only achieved 1,600. We take a look at Ethereum, we've only achieved 5,100. We take a look at things like VeChain, for example, another really good performer for the portfolio, 18,000. Harmony One, another 18,000. Anchor up here at 34,000. So when it comes to 𝗕𝗃, you can tell that a 42,000% return on investment is a very, very good return on investment indeed. So a good ROI, lots of traction had been happening, and then obviously we pulled back. But what is the expectation next? Obviously, we do have some interesting areas that we should be talking about on our Fibonacci retracement tool. So over here, the performance of wave 3, the low of wave 4, these current performance that we take into consideration, this high and this low, in conjunction with the Fibonacci retracement tool, gives us a 4.236 extension at $9.43. This represents about a 667% move from the current position that we're trading at today. So we're moving from $1.22 up to $9.43. This is where I anticipate the bull run ending for 𝗕𝗃. So this is where I am anticipating the peak of 𝗕𝗃's bull run will be. And something that we are likely to see as things really start to heat up. We'll mainly see the utility of 𝗕𝗃 really come into effect once we start to see Ethereum's price really heat up and make those gas fees pretty much unmanageable again. So once that happens, we're going to see a good surge with the Polygon network, and that's where we start to see these things go on in terms of getting 667% in gains. So obviously we have a good idea. We've performed incredibly well. We have expectations to perform up to the 4.236 extension of $9.43. But what about that volatility that we've been experiencing recently? If I just expand this up on the daily chart here, you can see that Bitcoin pulled us down quite significantly. We were tracking up here just above the 50% retracement area of the Fibonacci retracement tool. Moving up nicely, we were up into some interesting areas before Bitcoin pulled us down on our stochastic RSI. Now taking us down and bouncing from the 236, we had found this volatility. Again, a couple of days ago, we were back down just below this 236 area, and then we rallied back up. Now, we were oversold, and we are tracking nicely to the upside. So right now, we can actually see some interesting things happening here on this daily chart. The structure is very much pretty good, although recovery is very much needed, and we've got a long journey ahead of us before we can really go ahead and say that we're out of this danger zone and we are pushing up ahead. But I do anticipate that there's going to be a little bit more volatility on Matic for the next week or maybe two, as we basically close out September. Once we get through September, we'll be going into October in a really strong way. Historically speaking, September is always the month for corrections. And this is almost self-fulfilling because obviously so many people and traders in the space know that months of September is usually the month for corrections. Therefore, they often sell, high up at the beginning of the month and let it kind of crash out during the month and then buy back, as you leave September and go into October. So obviously with the anticipation of knowing that the history of this is usually occurring, allows us to, basically make it come true in essence, right? We can sell and buy later date and basically just leave September to kind of just shake out some retail investors. So overall, it's important that we acknowledge what goes on historically and to kind of brace ourselves for what might be happening as we kind of get into the month of September. But now we are obviously exiting. So the expectation would be very much in line with what we've seen previously and a good surge to the upside. Bitcoin is kind of forecasted to go up to about 60K in the month of the month of October. And as a result of that, I think we're going to see a pretty good surge with Ethereum, and as a result of Ethereum's push to the upside, my expectations would be that Matic and Polygon network is going to surge to the upside too. So overall, it's looking pretty good and pretty interesting. Obviously, we just have that volatility to get through for a little bit longer, and then I think we're really off to the races with this one here. So what we do is we can jump down into our hourly view. This is where we start to see some of the traction that we were getting previously. A good run to the upside. We did find that there was a triangular wedge, if I just pull this down, right, that was falling to the downside. Now, we lost the triangular wedge, and basically we fell down again to those areas that I was talking about previously, right, all the way down to $1.06. We briefly lost this on the 21st of September, and we've rallied up ever since. Now, we are in an oversold area, just pushing out of here. So the expectation will be to probably rise the price of Matic up to about $2.28 before getting rejected. That seems like the very logical area that we should look for before we actually have another pullback. Now, the pullback that we have doesn't have to be very big, but we do need to see that good sentiment in the space, right? So in order to really reference that, we're going to throw the volumes in here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move that out of the way and just make these volumes a little bit bigger. So what we can do is we can take a look at this, and we can see that basically during this pullback just here, the volumes increased, and during this push to the upside, the volumes decreased, with the exception of this little bit just here where the volume increased. We then pulled back, and then we went basically very flat with the volumes. Okay, so we're trading sideways. So as long as that volume stays nice and low, we can actually pull back and be quite comfortable. But what we want to do is actually surge the price to the upside. So we want to see that volume actually grow. So we can see that the market sentiment isn't quite where it needs to be just yet. Quite fearful, and I think ultimately we haven't quite got the right mind frame for what is to come. So I think until we see that push with the volume, we're going to get stuck in this kind of bound here. I think we're going to find a high of about 228, and potentially then find a nice low area of 106. I think there's going to be a sideways trading here for the next week or so, and once we're through that, then we're going to push back to the upside, in my opinion. Overall, we are looking to basically come back and retest our previous downward trend line here, right? So I think what we'll find is actually a good steady increase here. We'll get a pullback, we'll push back up, we'll find this as an area of resistance, and then we'll get that break. Once we break this trend line, I think that's where we're really going to get that big push to the upside, breaking and holding new support and resistance lines on that journey as well. Overall, like I said it a couple of times now, volatility should be expected for the next little while. And once we're past September, though, I think we're going to be off to some pretty interesting moves with Matic pushing up to the upside in a nice, strong way, where we'll then start talking about the 618-702-786 areas on the Fibonacci tool. And from here, we'll be able to basically start talking about price discovery and how we actually get to that $9.43 price target. Overall, I'm not concerned with the current progress of Matic. I think there's a bit of a journey still to be had here, but it's performing incredibly well under such extreme pressure that we've seen most recently. Overall, some interesting gains are still on the table, something that I do think we are likely to see, and I am expecting us to kind of reach that 4.236 extension for this particular project as we finish the bull run in a pretty strong way for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and a whole host of altcoins as well. Guys, I'm going to leave the video there, but if you have found this useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, why not subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With this said, done, and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.